don't know if what I'm about to say is controversial or not, but real estate in Nigeria is the wild west, right? And
Not
anyone can just
controversial at all, by the way. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the show, the Ownahome TV show. On this episode of the show, I'm going to be reacting to the popular video that was trending recently of a lady from outside of Nigeria that came into the country and purchased an off-plan apartment. After she purchased the off-plan apartment and put in money, as she said in the now viral video, they ended up switching her unit with another unit that was inferior. And there were lots of questions about the viability of investing in Nigeria. So we're going to be talking about what you can learn from that experience and how to avoid it. And I'm going to be joined by somebody today. I'm not going to be doing this alone. A real estate investor, home and abroad, with diverse, set of skills and knowledge from different deals that he's done, real estate deals that he's done. And we're just going to be having a dialogue. And we're just going to be looking at areas that you can forestall this happening, because trust me, as we're going to get into this this video, this happens in different and every part of the world. If you don't know your onion, if you don't know these things that we're going to be discussing, you could be taken advantage of. So this real estate investor is Tunde Akimpelu, and he's based in Canada, and he's going to be joining us to give his own set of experience and advice and knowledge, vast experience and advice and knowledge. Hello Tunde, how are you doing today?
Not bad. Thank you so much, Uche, for having me. As you introduced me, I'm like, is it talking about me or is it talking about someone? I'm like,
he's being very humble. He's being very humble. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Tunde. How's your day going?
Not too bad. I guess just first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. I've actually been following your page and been following your content for quite a while now. Someone who has a lot of knowledge in the industry and in the Nigerian industry as well. So every time we get a chance to talk and discuss everything that has to do with real estate, I always love listening to your perspective and really just bouncing ideas with you. So I am super excited to be here today and really just dive into the topic of this viral video that has a lot of different content and different topics for us to discuss.
Yeah, thank you so very much for having me. And this is something that I want to be doing more and more of. So you guys will probably be seeing more and more of Tunde as time go on. And let's dive into this video. So we're going to be showing you the video, and then we're going to be picking out different points from the video that we think and feel will be very helpful for you. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's go.
Well, you guys remember this spot that I bought in Nigeria that I paid for over 2 years ago and have been building from scratch? One thing Niger will do is show you shege. Aye! Look at the way I'm just shining my teeth. Oh my God, I did not know that was about to come. So this property I bought, a family owns the land. They built a couple apartment complexes on it, and I bought one of the units. Okay. And I bought this book.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that we should talk about is that it's a family land, and in Nigeria it's called Omonile, and that's what made real estate developers really popular over the past few years. And we don't know all of the details of this, so we're going to be making some assumptions. But the first assumption that we can make is that she went to a family land and was probably dealing with the Omonile, the local ancestral landowners. And when you're doing such a thing, the first thing that you should not do is not do it alone. I went to her comment. She said she did have a lawyer. She did have probably people on ground. But, I think that's the first thing, don't deal with these people directly. Don't deal with Omoniles directly. I used to have a real estate kind of an arrangement, sponsorship agreement before the real estate developer, where we are actually even going to, instead of buying a land, you could maybe help the family to clear. You can help them to do the survey, and then after a while, maybe a year or 6 months, they will give you the land. But we stopped that because these people can be very, very dangerous. Tunde, do you have any context to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it, right? I think that was definitely one of the things that immediately stood out to me as well, is when she said she bought the land from a family. And I'm also going to assume that it's the same family that's building the property that she's about to live in. And to me, that's red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that kind of cases, you have to be extremely, extremely cautious. I think off-plan project in itself is already risky. It's high rewarding, right? It's high rewarding, and with that high reward also comes a lot of risk, right? Especially in a country like Nigeria, and I don't know if what I'm about to say is controversial or not, but real estate in Nigeria is the wild, wild west, right? And anyone
not controversial at all, by the
way. Right? So I guess that's just the reality, right? It's the wild, wild west, and anyone could just wake up and say that they are a developer, right? So in a country like that, if you're going to purchase offline, you want to work with developers that's reputable and has a long history of delivery, right? So if you're looking at reducing or mitigating and minimizing your risk as much as possible, one of the ways that you can do that is definitely just working with people that has something to lose as far as their reputation is concerned. But when you're working with a family that doesn't really have that kind of reputation, or even a brand that's outside and that people knows, you're without a doubt putting yourself in compromising positions.
Yeah. I think you just that nails it perfectly, because even she never mentioned the name of this person. Obviously, she probably doesn't want smoke. She never mentioned even his name, and we don't know if he has a business name or even an incorporated company. So that's and lots of people do it because in their mind, oh, these real estate developers are marking up, they are charging. Let me do. In a place like Nigeria, it's sad to say, but don't come and reinvent the wheel. Don't try to bring innovation, so to speak. Just do it the way there's the reason why people are doing it a certain way. If you try to do something that is not, you may get burned badly. Well, like you said, you can actually be highly rewarded. The fact that she probably didn't even have to pay agency fees. She probably didn't have to pay developers. Be even on a timeline with the developer, because developers will give you a timeline. Okay, this is when you have to make your payment. But she did everything. Everything was DIY. But then, you have this, sort of issues.
Exactly. Okay. Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's go.
We have a lot to get to.
Yeah.
It's before. So I'm guessing the family that owns the land had not been to the property or the apartment complex since they started building it in, I think they said mid-2021. So that video that you guys saw where I was in the orange shirt and the place was already done, that was taken in December of last year. And I was supposed to move into my spot around that time, but they just kept telling me, oh, we haven't installed light posts. We haven't installed light posts, so you can't move in, so you can't move in.
I think the next red flag for me is when you're meant to move to the next level, or there's a next step to be taken, and then you start getting excuses. And I mean, the fact with real estate is, even in Canada, in fact, I think in the UK, I saw a report that most off-plan buildings, I think it took them more than 6 months actually from the day that they said they would deliver. But this is tied to the first red flag. It's a family, and when it comes time for you to, it's even in the land deals, land transactions as well. You finish making your payment. It's time for you to sign your deed. They start telling you one thing, and let me say that as well. Even reputable developers, they go through this because things are not always straightforward. But when it comes to the time for you to take over your property or do go through the next level of your transaction, and they're pushing it, not once, not twice, not 3 times. And I think you should be really concerned. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting, Uche, because you did mention developers even here in Canada as well, and you're absolutely right that especially when you're doing off plan, there's a lot of unknowns that could happen, and developers can and often actually push the property back on the dates from the dates that they tell you that they're going to deliver it. I think one big difference though is here in Canada, you have they'll say, okay, the first pushback date is within 3 months of the delivery date. And then they will say there's a possibility of a second pushback date, which is around X amount of months from the delivery date. And then they have a final pushback date, which is they're committing to you that no later than this final date will they deliver this property to you. So what they're saying that situation is, under no circumstances will they go beyond this final delivery date. And if they were to go beyond this final delivery date, then you are entitled to your full refund, right? So in situations like this, again, we don't fully know the contract, and we don't really know what the clause and stipulations are on this person's contract. But I'll be curious to know how many times did they push it back, and is there anything on the contract that actually tells you that they are allowed to even push it back, and how many times can they do so?
I think you nailed it, because even developers also, they try to even get into this partnership with they try to push that risk to the construction company. So they tell them that and they pay a premium for that. So if you're supposed to deliver at this point in time, and so if you do not deliver, they also try to push that risk to the construction company. But it still lies on the onus, still lies on the developer to make sure that if people are giving you money, people are they are not behind on their payment, people are doing what they need to do, then you need to keep to the part of your contract. It was a particular real estate company that trended. I'm not going to call their name. I will just call their name, but
don't do it. Don't call name.
But it was an article by an investigative journalist, FIG. So they said their contract was very, very arcane. It was so harsh to the customers if they did default. But the funny thing about it is that the company ended up being the one to default severally on their due dates, and it's even years, some from 2014, 2018.
Oh wow.
And there's no penalty on your on the side of the company if they default, but there is a huge penalty on the side of the customer, the client that is paying. And which leads us to the fact that you need to read your contract of sale. The contract, lots of people gloss over it. Lots of people, in fact, the way it even happens here in Nigeria, what you read is an FAQ. You would have made your initial payment before you even see a contract. People don't request for their contract. It's so crazy that you're entering into this agreement with a person, with a company, and you don't even know what the contract looks like. You don't know the terms of your engagement, and it's very dangerous and it's very, very crazy.
Yeah, I will even take it one step further, right? It's read your contract, but quite honestly, get a lawyer, right? Like get a lawyer that will read that contract with you or for you and call out all of the risk in a language that you can understand, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not the developer that wrote the contract, it's their lawyers that wrote the contract. And guess what that's going to come with is a bunch of lawyer jargons that if you don't have someone that actually understands the law and they can interpret this said jargons to you, you're going to be lost, right? So my advice actually is work with a real estate lawyer as well that can read the contract and they can read out the risk that's involved in the contract, and then you can make an informed decision on are these risks that I'm willing to accept or not, right? And one of the actual beautiful things about Nigeria, if I could say so myself, is the fact that there's a lot of negotiating power, right? But you need to be aware of what you're actually negotiating, right? At the end of the day, developers want to sell, realtors want to sell, and if you're coming with a capital as an investor or someone who wants to buy a property, right? Understand your negotiating power as well, and that can come handy when you're reading your contract, understanding your risk, because there might be things in there that you're actually able to negotiate. And honestly, that goes even here in Canada. I've invested in properties where I've negotiated what we call an assignment clause, which is I have the ability to sell this property before it actually becomes available, right? So let's say I buy a property today and they're saying this property is going to be available by next year. From today till next year, I'm negotiating with the developer the ability to put this property on market before it becomes available. Not all developers offer that, but they're open to negotiation. They're open to talk. So, understand the power of negotiating and use that also to your advantage. But all of that really just starts from knowing what's actually involved in the contract and knowing what you're signing up for.
Yeah, like I've had a particular transaction where this man was a one-man mopo. He did have a lawyer, but he was the one that literally read through the contract, and he changed things more than 3 times. The last time, the developer told me that if this man changes anything, I'm calling up this. He said, I'm calling up this deal. But yeah, like people don't even know that they have such recourse. People just think that they can just accept anything. You actually, if there's a clause, obviously with your lawyer, like he said, if there's a clause you're not comfortable with, you could actually ask, and they could probably tell you, it doesn't mean anything. No, it does mean a lot. If it doesn't sit well with you, then put a finger on that and ask them to change it. Honestly, you could actually negotiate that.
100%. Well, should we get back?
Yeah, let's get back.
Against my demise. Oh my gosh, you guys don't understand how pissed I am. So apparently the son of the guy that owns the land came with his father to come and check out the apartment complexes, right? He saw my unit and he loved it. I spent a lot of time and money into making this place look like the dream spot that I wanted to live in, right, y'all? But no.
Sorry, I feel like I'm cutting it too soon, but
you could jump in.
Man, that got me, man. I think to me, what stood out is just the fact that someone came, which she's saying is the son of the person she bought the land from, and this person liked a unit or was in love with a unit and requested that they took over the unit, or they take over the unit rather. I thought that was interesting, and again, really just kind of going back to the topic of who owns the property and what's in the contract. Is you'll be very surprised that some developers might actually have the legal right to be able to allocate your unit to someone else should they want to. Again, going back to that contract, man, you gotta know what you're signing up for, right? Because then, if that's the case, then what really can you do? Even from a legal standpoint, you're blocked, and developers will make sure that they are protected to the maximum means possible, right? And again, if this kind of clause exists in your contract where they can assign this unit to someone else, ethically, they've done something wrong, but legally, have they? And I don't think so, right? And I think that's potentially some of the challenges that this person might face.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, because I mean, there's also the Nigerian factor of what can you really do? Go to court. And I have a developer that says, if you take any case to court, any legal property case to court, just know that it's at least 10 years you spending your money, that property or that in contention is not going to be inhabited, that it's just going to be a whole back and forth, that the recourse of landlords or property owners. In fact, there was even a case this year even, a popular the former governor of Ekiti State, his son. So he literally had some tenants that were in his Abuja apartments, and he claimed that he gave them, he made them stay for free during COVID, but they had not paid the rent for many, many months. And then he asked them to leave, and they refused to leave. In fact, they took him to court. And so he was so mad. So he said, okay, you guys want to take me to court? He went to the house and removed the roof. That's just because and it's really everywhere, For instance, even in the UK, they just passed the renters bill. And with the renters bill, it protects the renters that you cannot, after the person's tenancy is over, you cannot just evict them without a reason. So now you actually either have to go to the courts, or you just have to let them stay. And most times people evict people because they're not paying. So you don't want it to ever even get to the point where it's a legal issue in Nigeria. That's just the truth. You don't want it to ever even get to that point where it's a legal issue, because it's going to be drawn out. It's going to be, impact your mental health, impact your, your finances. You're not still going to get that, for the period that is there. So it's just best to avoid it, because also some people were trying to blame her. Why didn't you sue these people? It's easier said than done. You could actually, but it's easier. It's really easier said than done. It's just best to avoid it from the get-go.
Absolutely. You nailed it, man. You nailed it. All right, let's get back.
Yeah.
And I promise I won't pause it too quickly this time. I just that just kind of stood out to me.
Please feel free.
There's no rules in Nige. The son said, no, I want this place. And you know what they did? They gave him my unit and left me with what y'all are about to see in 3, 2, 1. You guys, the place isn't even done. They didn't even finish fixing the spot up, bro. Look at the lighting and the difference from the first video and this video. I had 2 balconies in my crib. Look at the floor, look at the tiles, look at the walls. Bro, oh my God. Watching this video again is literally, what is this? What portal am I asking to go to? Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. Y'all want to know the worst part? Oh my God. Y'all want to know the worst part? Who in a right mind puts a bathroom door in the living room? Y'all know how y'all living rooms have 2 separate walls where one side the couch goes and the other side the TV goes? Where am I supposed to put my couch and my TV? Look at the rims of that. Oh my God, watching this video is really boiling my blood pressure, y'all. Y'all don't get how pissed I am. And before anybody says, oh, did you get paperwork? Yes, I got paperwork. I have a deed in my name. I paid my money. This was not no friendly type of business, bro. This is somebody I went to go and buy a place from, and they pay money because they think they can, and because it's quote unquote Nigeria.
The good thing is she did have paperwork. right? Like she
Yeah.
just said that she had paperwork.
She had a deed, yeah.
She had a deed, right? What we don't know, again, kind of going back really, and we don't want to be a broken record, is what existed in that paperwork and what's written in that paperwork, and what does it contain? And I think that's the part that we don't know.
Part,
Yeah.
Because I mean, you need 4 documents. You need the deed, which is a given. Then you need your contract of sale. So it's the contract of sale that actually stipulates all of the clauses that is between you and the buyer and the seller. And then you need a receipt, and then you need the survey plan of the particular property. So just having the deed is still not enough. The deed is just telling you that this person has a claim to this land,
I thought that was smart. So now I'm stuck with this place because 1, they don't want to pay me for the other spot that they stole from me and kicked me out of. 2, they don't want to pay for any renovations for them to finish fixing the spot up so that I can at least start from a clean playing field. And 3, y'all, this unit isn't even worth half the amount that I bought the other unit for. Like who does this? So now I'm stuck with this, and I have to figure out how to make this place something that I love.
In all honesty, though, I think this is just a sad situation. Like, it's just really, really sad. She claimed that it's not worth half what she bought the other unit. Then also she's also spent a lot of money in touching it up, in doing what needs to be done. And not to also talk about the amount of time that has been spent, hoping for something, hoping that you're going to live here. She spent resources coming down, paying people to do all of this, and then just having to start from the beginning. And to be honest, even fighting, especially if it's somewhere that you want to stay, in Nigeria, and I know it has kind of engendered the culture of docility, but one of the worst cases that you can have is a land issue, and especially with a family member and family, because some of these people, there's no length to where they would go for them to fight you, both in the legal and both in outside of the legal and scene. So, I mean, it may not be a good one, but I think her deciding not to fight, or her deciding to leave to fight another day, is just it's sad. It's so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's kind of it's the sad reality of it all, right? One question that I do have for you, though, Uche, is for anyone that's watching and thinking or feeling the way we feel, which is this is a sad situation overall. But they're thinking of, how can I avoid this? Or how can I reduce as much as possible the possibility of this happening? What are some advice that you have for someone like that?
Okay, so I think the first one that we said is try as much as possible not to work with omoniles, as they are called, ancestral landowners. When you work with a real estate developer, you actually transfer that risk from the ancestral landowner to the developer. And that does not even mean that you now go to sleep, because so many developers are actually crazy out here. So the second thing that you need to do is, get your lawyer. We are talking about if you're going for off-plan stuff. Get your lawyer to get, everything that needs to be, and do your research on that company. Do your research on their portfolio. And I was speaking to a client on the friend. He actually drove down from London to come see me. And there's this company that is such a shine. I have even severally praised them on my channel. But he was telling me about a particular development they have in Ikate, that when they changed project managers, everything went downhill. The pool was dirty. The elevators were breaking down. They were like people were getting stuck there. Water was dirty. They had to even be using tanks to come. Like it was a whole hot mess. And out of the other developers that have been called out, these people have not been called out specifically for this. And I told him, I'm not going to do I'm not going to do that. So working with people in the industry, realtors like us, also make sure that we are going to give you'll be privy to some of this information. You say, okay, this is what you can't do without the local realtors in that place. That's just the truth. Work with the local realtor and work with a realtor that has expertise. So different realtors have expertise in maybe Agile market, people have in Ikoyi, work with them and like ask them questions. Okay, what do you think about this developer? What do you think about this project? What have they done in the past before? Obviously ask the developers ask as many questions as possible, because you're making an investment. So, many people probably feel pressure to ask questions as many times that needs to be asked, and I think that's the basic thing I would advise. And also, Tunde, from your own experience, how would you say that this sort of thing? Because, when we're talking about this, he said these things even happen outside of Nigeria. So it's a relief that not all the bad things happen only here. All the bad things in the world, it's not just here, they happen.
Yeah, I honestly think you nailed it. I think you've called out all of the main points on how to reduce the possibility of this kind of happening. If I could just add something, right? I think the only thing I would add is a reality check, man, and reality check in the sense where if we are going to get off plan or pre-construction, that is a property that is not ready to be moved in right now, that just comes with risk. That just comes with risk, and that is the reality of it. Everything you've shared is how we can reduce those risks, but you also have to be willing to accept that there really isn't any guarantees when it comes to something that's not ready. And if there's someone who is just looking for zero risk, then just buy something that's ready to be moved in today. Right? Like buy something that's ready to be moved in today. But if you're an investor and you're someone who is looking for that profit and that capital gain and that opportunity, then yes, you want to look at off-plan projects. You want to look at getting a land, or land banking and things to that extent. These are things that you can do for sure as an investor that will generate you profit. But also as an investor, you should just understand the risk that some of these things comes with.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. Because you cannot be buying a property probably up to 40% lower than the market value and expecting to have the same guarantee with the person that is buying it when it's more than that when it's finished and completed. So
exactly.
You need to know where you are. I think that kind of sums it up and kind of like it's the balance between everything, because every single investment there's risk involved,
and it's not just real estate. Real estate, it's everything.
Every single and when somebody starts to give you 100% guarantee, I think that person wants to probably scam you.
That's
it. And lots of realtors even do it. And it's difficult for a realtor sometimes because the kind of promises that they're making to you, they have no power to keep it. But sometimes there's this rush to close the deal, but you can't they are going to deliver, they're going to do it, they're going to in 4 months, in 5 months. They can't make those promises because even the developer can't even make you those promises. There's a lot of risk, both quantitative, qualitative risk. If the developer is working with debt, the interest rates can go up. A lot of things can happen. There can be like a policy change that can just, for instance, Nigeria just introduced cybersecurity tax. lots of things can go, because so the longer the time, before you've put in your payment and then the delivery, lots of things can happen. But I think being comfortable with that and also mitigating with your clause as much as possible, so that like you said, I think that is such a good arrangement. The first pushback date, the second, the third, something must protect you as well. Have something that will protect you if it ever went, so.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm also just gonna be curious on anyone that's watching, if they have any further thoughts or anything that we may have missed, that they think should be included, or we should be on the lookout for as investors or buyers and customers. I would love for them to put it in the comment section. I'm definitely going to be reading everything. And if there's something that you agree with, also let us know. If there's something that you don't agree with, I actually want to hear as well. I'm going to be in the comments and having interesting conversations about this, because it's a really good topic, and it's a topic that I think a lot of us should be having, and it just makes for healthy conversation and healthy dialogue.
Yeah, to eventually still move this industry forward, because like it's an emerging market, and this sort of nuanced conversations and different perspective actually make us to move these things forward, and bring out policies and guidelines that actually better for everybody at the end of the day, win-win, both for the developer and also for the customer.
Exactly.
100%. Thank you so much, Tunde, for this. I'm sure you guys, I'm having so much fun. I had so much fun here, and I could only imagine the kind of fun that you guys will be having as third party watching. By God's grace, we'll be having more and more of him. We'll be featuring more and more, people that are actually doing the thing, having a different perspective to things, probably reacting to real estate news, popular activities, information, and make sure you like, you subscribe, and you share this video. Thank you so very much for watching. We will see you at the very next video.